The phone rang in the middle of the night, dragging me out of a half-dream that had been stubbornly clinging to my mind. When I saw the caller ID, my stomach sank before I even answered. "Hello." My voice was thick, groggy. "Is this Mr. Caldwell?" The voice on the other end asked. It was professional, clipped, but there was an edge to it that made my chest tighten. "This is the front desk of the Cedar Grove Hospital. We have an incident involving your wife. She's in our care right now." I froze. Incident? What happened? My heart was hammering, the room spinning slightly. Is she? There was an accident, or something that required police involvement. I can't give all the details over the phone. You need to come in. I grabbed my coat without another word, stumbling out into the cold night air. My mind was a storm of questions, fear slicing through every thought. My wife, Lila, the woman I had shared 10 years of my life with, was somewhere between a hospital room and a police report, and I had no idea why. When I arrived, the nurse ushered me into a small, sterile room. Lila was sitting on the edge of a hospital bed, looking disheveled, her hair damp and clinging to her face. The first thing I noticed was a faint smell of perfume, not hers, at least not the one she usually wore. It was heavier, sweeter, unfamiliar. "Lila," my voice was almost a whisper, trembling. She looked up, eyes wide, guilty. "Michael," her voice was soft, almost pleading, but it carried none of the warmth I had known. "What happened?" I asked, though part of me already feared I knew the answer. She hesitated. The pause stretched unbearable. Finally, she said, I need to tell you something. I didn't mean for it to happen this way." I sank into a chair beside the bed, gripping the edge so hard my knuckles whitened. "Tell me what?" I was at a motel tonight. The words hit me like ice water. My stomach lurched. Michael, is not what you think." But the trembling in her hands, the way she avoided my gaze, told me everything. The truth didn't come all at once. It crept in, subtle as smoke, as I replayed the days leading up to that phone call. The way she had suddenly started leaving the house later at night. The way her phone never rang in my presence. And the faint scent of someone else lingering on her clothes. I wanted to dismiss it, to tell myself I was imagining things. I wanted to believe the life we had built. Our laughter in the kitchen, the late-night talks, the quiet moments watching TV together, was enough to anchor her. But now, as she sat across from me, a fragile shadow of the woman I thought I knew, I realized denial was no longer an option. "Why?" The single word escaped before I could stop it. It wasn't anger, not fully. It was pain, raw and unfiltered. "Why would you?" I don't know," she said, voice trembling. I felt so invisible. "Michael, I didn't mean to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you." You felt invisible?" I repeated, my voice breaking. "We've been married 10 years. I know you thought," she interrupted, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I know you love me, Michael. And I do love you. But sometimes love isn't enough when you're drowning inside yourself and nobody notices. I made a mistake, the worst mistake of my life." Her words stabbed at me in ways I didn't expect. My mind raced, trying to reconcile the woman I had loved with the betrayal she had committed. There was Lila, sitting on that bed, vulnerable, human. And there was Lila, the woman who had stepped into a stranger's motel room while I waited at home, unaware. "I can't," I whispered. I couldn't even finish the sentence. I couldn't say, "I can't forgive you, not yet." I couldn't say, "I can't look at you," though my heart screamed it. In the days that followed, the house became a battlefield of quiet tension. I didn't know how to act around her. I watched her every move, searching for the trace of another life she had led behind my back. I noticed the way she flinched when my hand brushed hers, the way her phone vibrated and she jumped, guilt flashing in her eyes. One evening, unable to sleep, I followed her. She slipped out of the house with a scarf wrapped tightly around her neck, and I trailed her in the shadows, heart pounding. My worst fears were confirmed. She met a man in a dark alley near the edge of town. Not a motel this time, not a fleeting accident. This was deliberate. My mind was numb, my hands shaking as I watched them disappear into a cheap diner, laughing, touching, intimate in a way that made my stomach turn. I left before they saw me. The image of her smiling at someone else burned into my mind, and for the first time in my life, I felt utterly powerless. Confrontation came the next morning, inevitable and raw. "I know, Lila," I said, voice low and controlled. We were in the kitchen, the morning sunlight cutting across the tile floor. She stiffened, eyes wide. "No, what?" she asked, voice quivering, trying to hide panic behind a fragile veil of innocence. "Don't lie to me." I placed a motel key card I had found in her purse on the counter between us. "I know about the motel, I know about the other man, and I know about the times you've been leaving the house at night." Her face drained of color. "Michael, I trusted you." I cut in sharply, pain slicing through every word. "I built a life with you. I loved you. And you?" I paused, struggling to keep my voice from breaking. "You betrayed everything we had." She collapsed into a chair, hands covering her face. I know I've hurt you. I don't know how to fix this. I wish I could take it back. But I can't. You can't fix this, Lila," I said, shaking my head. "You can undo what's been done. I can't sleep in the same bed as someone who's been with someone else while I thought we were safe. I can't look at you the same way again." The next weeks were a blur. We didn't speak much. The house felt like a haunted shell of our former life. I watched her, still in love with the woman I had married, but too shattered to pretend trust anymore. She tried to explain, to apologize, to reach out, but every gesture felt like salt on an open wound. One evening, she left a note. "I'll give you space. I love you, and I'm sorry for everything." I found her sitting in the park nearby, staring at the pond. The wind tousled her hair, and she looked so small, so human, that my heart ached. I sat down beside her. "Why?" I asked again. I had to hear it, even though my throat burned. "I don't know," she whispered. "I was lonely. I felt trapped. It wasn't about him. It was about me and my fears and how I couldn't face them. And now I see what I've lost. I see you. I see us. And it's gone." I stared at her, tears welling, but I didn't reach for her hand. I couldn't. Not yet. Not after the betrayal. Months passed. We stayed under the same roof, yet lived separate lives. I rebuilt my routines, my work, my friendships. I laughed again, though the laughter fell hollow. Lila tried to reconnect, but I was cautious, a soldier guarding a fortress after a storm. Trust, once broken, doesn't return whole. One night, I found myself standing at the edge of the driveway, looking at the empty street. The moon reflected off the wet asphalt, and I realized I had a choice. I could stay trapped in the wreckage of what she had done, or I could move forward, whether together or apart. Lila joined me silently, and for a moment, we stood there in a fragile truce, watching the world carry on around us. The pain was still raw, but I understood something crucial. Betrayal had shattered our past, but it hadn't yet defined our future. "Michael," she said softly, "I can't promise I won't make mistakes again, but I want to try. I want to be with you, truly, if you'll let me." I exhaled slowly, the cold night air filling my lungs. I didn't answer immediately. Trust would take time. Forgiveness would take longer. But I could see the truth in her eyes, and I could feel the ember of love that still lingered. I don't know if I can forgive you yet. I admit it, but I can see that you're here. And maybe that's a start. She nodded, tears glistening on her cheeks, a mix of relief and lingering shame. We stayed like that for a while, side by side, neither moving, neither speaking, just breathing in the quiet aftermath of heartbreak. And in that moment, I understood the cruel, human truth. Love and betrayal can coexist for a time, tangled in the same soul. The road ahead would be long and uncertain, but it was ours to walk, or to leave behind. I didn't know if we'd make it, but for the first time since the call from the hospital, I felt a flicker of clarity. Pain was inevitable, but so was choice. And I would choose, slowly, deliberately, whether to let her back in or to let her go forever. The night was quiet, But in its silence, I heard the fragile pulse of a life still in motion, still capable of heartbreak, and still capable of hope.